Your brain has a digestive system. Every unprocessed thought becomes mental clutter, but this one ritual, as weird as it sounds, it helps you clear it out. When we feel mental fog, we can often feel like something's wrong with us, that we have undiagnosed ADHD, we're burnt out, we're constant overthinkers, but oftentimes it's really just a backlog of thoughts we never voiced and feelings we never finished. Because the thing about life is, it constantly throws these micro experiences at you. It might be as simple as a stranger that looks at you weirdly, someone that didn't smile back at you, your friend forgetting to message you back. There's these awkward moments, all these unresolved arguments and choices you're still undecided on. And they start to pile up over time. And if you don't process these thoughts and let them surface, they won't disappear automatically. They'll just keep looping quietly in the background. And they're gonna create more noise, more emotional weight, and more subtle fatigue. And you'll suddenly wonder why your emotional health went to shit, and how it even happened. The mistake that most of us make is that we just try to push through it like it's a concrete wall we need to blast through. You can't hyperbeam your way through it with focus hacks, caffeine, and more work, because this is an emotional issue, not a physical one. Have you ever noticed how venting to a friend actually makes you feel better? It's actually your brain finally completing a feedback loop. The problem is, if you just take a step back, most of us never finish the loop, and what I mean by that is, most of us, we don't share the most intimate parts of ourselves with our friends, with our closest ones, because we're afraid of getting judged. That's why you feel mentally full, but emotionally constipated. You need some kind of release valve. There's a much easier way to let the mess out without being judged or without having to put on a performance. Here's where it gets a little weird. Your brain digests emotion the same way it digests food, through motion and flow. Meaning if you don't have motion and you don't have flow, those emotions, they're gonna get stuck. And that's what causes the emotional constipation. A way you can generate motion and flow is by movement. And specifically, what has helped me the most is walking, speaking, and writing. Because that gives my brain exactly what it needs, which is expression. The way I like to do this in practice is I like to go for a 20-minute walk or longer. Sometimes I've walked for an hour or more. And then when something comes up, you just speak it out. Sometimes I whisper it, and sometimes there's people around where it's not super comfortable to just talk like a maniac. Although a quick tip is, if you really wanted to try this exercise to the fullest, put in a pair of headphones and just speak like you're talking to someone on the phone. People, they won't judge you for that. But yeah, go for a walk for 20 minutes or more. Speak your thoughts when they come up and just talk to the air or the outside like it was a best friend. Let the thoughts be messy, irrational, unfinished. That's your emotional brain finally getting some airtime. And you'll feel that after 10 minutes something starts to shift. You start to feel like something's loosening up inside. Even your thoughts will feel calmer and more grounded. That's the moment that you feel more human again. That you will start thinking clearer and slower and with less urgency. You might even feel very emotional because finally some stuff starts to surface that hasn't surfaced for a long time. And the awesome part about this exercise is that you don't really need to force insight. If you walk out in nature quite often, these thoughts of clarity, they will come up and you will have opportunities to work through them. Key thing here is don't take your phone, or if you take your phone, make sure you don't use it for the 20 minutes because as soon as you pick up the phone, you disrupt the space you gave your brain to actually come up with emotional tangents. And I want to emphasize it's okay if this feels really weird. Not a lot of people does it. So just embrace the awkwardness, try it out for yourself, and feel how much it can actually benefit your brain. That's the cost of peace, a little awkwardness in exchange for a lot more clarity. If you want to supercharge this exercise, what you want to do is when you get back home, pick up a piece of paper or a physical journal if you have one. I like to keep a journal every single year, so I will pick up my 2026 journal. I'll just deep journal about whatever came up on the walk for 10 minutes. And what I mean by deep journal is you just write as much as you can about the experience, about the emotions, about the thoughts that came up, and then that allows you to further process those thoughts. This exercise, the 20-minute walk, or maybe even more, let's say you do it for 1 hour and you go out in nature where there's no people, where you don't feel judged at all, you can just speak your mind, that's gonna surface a lot of thoughts, then you can get back home and you can process those thoughts. And man, that's superfood for your brain. It feels so amazing when you do that. Couple that with the occasional dopamine detoxes and your mind is gonna be very healthy in a very short amount of time. If this resonated with you, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm currently building a coaching practice for neurodivergent men in their 20s and 30s wanting to reclaim their time. So feel free to send me a DM there. There's no pressure, just a conversation with a real human being who understands where you're coming from.